Fitness from First Principles, Chapter 1, Section 4, Reasoning from First Principles. The true basics are hardly any one person's ideas. They have been hypothesized, tested, criticized, and tested again by countless people over very long periods of time. Every time a 5-year-old discovers that 2 plus 2 equals 4, in a way, they are making sure 2 plus 2 still equals 4, and that matters. Reasoning from first principles means breaking down a concept into its most basic, fundamental truths. That is, what do we know for certain is true, the way we know 2 plus 2 equals 4 is true. Once these principles are considered, we can reason on up from there. The alternative is to reason by analogy, and this is where obvious similarities between two systems are used to support conclusions. And this type of thinking tends to show up a lot on social media. A person could see maybe 8 out of 10 fitness people they follow doing all these crazy workouts and think, oh, that's what I have to do in order to succeed. Unfortunately, what looks good online and what is best for you are completely unrelated things. It's a total non sequitur. Things like luck, genetics, and performance-enhancing drugs have crippled the layperson's ability to navigate their way through good and bad information. And furthermore, principle-based thinking can be seen as the antidote to systems-based thinking. Systems-based thinking can be useful, but it tends to exacerbate personal biases to an unhelpful degree. What's even more tricky is that specific ideas or methods within one particular system can be internally consistent, but not representative of the preponderance of evidence on the subject. These types of logical fallacies are maybe the most evident in the martial arts world. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a fighting system. Kickboxing is a fighting system. Wrestling is a fighting system. They all have their own pros and cons, and people tend to get indoctrinated into one system or another. Furthermore, each system can even triumph over the others when applied to a sport like mixed martial arts. However, sport physiology is not like this. And as you will learn, all of these different diets and training methods are simply different ways of applying the same scientific principles. In other words, they are just different recipes using the same basic ingredients. So why not just cut out the middleman and learn the principles? Being successful requires effective work. More specifically, it requires the right amount of the right kind of work at the right time. A scientific, principle-based approach for identifying this work has a much higher probability for success than chaos. So at the end of the day, I want you to be able to have a productive inner monologue. Even if you don't automatically know the answer to a question, it's important that you can use your knowledge and reason as a problem-solving tool, instead of simply taking the jack guy's word for it. Take ownership over your health and wellness. It is absolutely one of the most empowering things you could possibly do. With this passage, I want to continue laying the groundwork for why principle-based thinking is so important. Also, this book is not meant for the person who already knows a ton about sports science and follows all the bodybuilders and watches all the educational content on YouTube. The fact is, most people did not take their formal scientific training in high school seriously enough, and now they don't really have kind of the rigorous tools to deal with the onslaught of information shoved down people's throats every day. I compare science education to something like stand-up comedy. When you're working through a stand-up comedy bit, it's very, very important that your argument is airtight. I mean, I know whenever I love stand-up, and whenever I watch it, a joke can be funny, but if, I know for a fact something in the premise isn't true, it's less funny. And so creating an airtight argument is very, very important in comedy. And I think it's important to set the stage to have a productive conversation in terms of science education. Otherwise, you're throwing a lot of big words around, but it's not really sticking with people. It's not substantive. This middle bit about martial arts systems is something I think about when I watch Joe Rogan's podcast all the time. I can see the clickbait headline now. YouTuber calls out Rogan to get 45 views. One thing that's that's so lovely about his show is that he has such a wealth of different people on there. But the fact is that different things work for different people at different time. And if you don't understand these principles, what's actually going on behind the scenes, then you're just going to say, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And now all of a sudden you're starting, you see your goals and you see what all these different people have done within the context of their own systems, and you try to create some Frankenstein thing. A lot of powerlifters find this out. Let's say they get a bug and want to do a 5K. They just slap a 5K program from the internet on top of their already probably too specific powerlifting program in the first place. And now they're just kind of like adding work instead of integrating everything. In a sport like mixed martial arts, you need to integrate tactics and techniques, things that work in kickboxing in mixed martial arts, because there's tons of things in either kickboxing or boxing or wrestling or jiu-jitsu that work when you're practicing within the rules of engagement of that sport. But as soon as you step in the octagon, it might not go well for you if you try to pull guard and you're not a black belt. If you need to find a place to train, go to gymspot.fit. Tell us where you are, what you're looking for, and we'll take care of the rest. GymSpot, the world's best gym locator.